The DPRK is grabbing a lot of attention again on Weibo. Shortly after the Dennis Rodman visit turned a lot of heads last week, this week North Korea threatened to scrap the 1953 armistice if South Korea and the U.S. continue with their military drills. According to a Weibo post that cites Reuters, the threat was attributed to the KCNA news agency to the Korean People's Army Supreme Command spokesman. It also warned of the destruction of South Korea if it continued to take part in military exercises with the United States. Now, some analysts are speculating that the threat is in retaliation to the UN Security Council sanctions resolution. The draft resolution has been agreed upon between Washington and Beijing after 3 weeks of bilateral negotiations, and the sanctions themselves are in response to the February 12th nuclear test. Now, North Korea is a very popular topic on Weibo. On the one hand, the isolated country reminds a lot of people of China during the early years of the People's Republic. And for some people, there's still a sense of camaraderie with the North. However, a growing number of people online feel that the DPRK is out of control and very disrespectful to China, despite all the support and help China has given it over the decades. And for them, North Korea seems like an ungrateful child that needs to be sent away. Okay, now let's take a look at some of their comments.
I think what John Kerry said reveals American intentions to talk directly with North Korea. If North Korea breaks the armistice, then America would need to renegotiate with North Korea directly, and China would have to stand on the sidelines. China has already been cast aside by North Korea. The only thing we can do without looking like a fool is to stand beside America. The sanctions would only push North Korea further from China and into the arms of the United States, and that's something China does not want. I think the country that America really wants to isolate and change is not North Korea, but China. And if North Korea gives up its nuclear program, America might extend its protective umbrella to North Korea as well. Trade sanctions are wrong. We should teach North Korea how to embrace the world, not isolate it from the world. China agreeing to the sanctions seems to suggest that President Xi has taken a tougher stance on the DPRK than his predecessors.
China was North Korea's biggest ally and aided the North in the Korean Civil War. Now, China has also been North Korea's diplomatic protector for decades and had voiced their support for North Korea's satellite program, which most other countries had condemned. Some Chinese internet users believe that the U.S. and China agreeing on an expanded UN sanction on North Korea mark a change in China's stance towards its northeastern neighbor. And although the DPRK has not threatened China, it did proclaim that it would sever a military hotline with the U.S. if South Korea and Washington pressed on with its 2-month-long war exercise. The Chinese ambassador to the UN was quoted to have said that a strong signal must be sent out that a nuclear test was against the will of the international community. But he also warned that the sanction should be proportionate and should be balanced and focused on bringing down tension. The latest threats also reminded a lot of people of previous periods of high tension on the Korean peninsula. In 1996, North Korea also announced that it would no longer abide by the armistice and sent troops to the demilitarized zone. Now, at the time, the country was under severe pressure from famine and floods and trying to get its nuclear program off the ground. 13 years later, in 2009, shortly after carrying out a previous underground nuclear test, the DPRK again announced that it no longer considered itself bound by the terms of the armistice. Now, this time round, the South Korean reaction was quite subdued and calm, as reflected in the South Korean stock market, where instead of fears of an attack from the North, business went about as usual, and the South Korean market index finished marginally higher up, even after the North Korean threat was issued. Now, a lot of Chinese internet users also found the threat a little puzzling and wondered what exactly do the DPRK have up its sleeve. Let's take a look at some more Chinese comments.
North Korea is striking first. They want to scare America into loosening its sanctions? North Korea is living on the edge of a blade. I wonder if Kim Jong-un is happy. What is the purpose of this rash decision? Isn't he going against what his father established? Kim Jong-un is destroying the relationship that his father and grandfather had built up with China. He is going to bring his own country to ruin. On the one hand, we had basketball diplomacy. On the other hand, North Korea is threatening everyone with war. Is Kim schizophrenic, or is there disharmony in the upper echelons of the North Korean government?
While Beijing has supported all of the previous UN sanctions against North Korea, it has also worked hard to soften the blow. According to Reuters, China is concerned that tougher sanctions could further weaken North Korea's economy and send waves of refugees into China.